We are live!
Why, hello.
Hello, and today's game of choice in the background is a very old game. Hey look, he's got a rocket launcher. But today we are discussing episode 7 and episode 6 and 7 of the lovely X-Men 97 show.
The show that's slowly destroying our souls.
Slowly destroying our souls. And also, today's episode I was prepared for trauma. I didn't get as much trauma as I was prepared for today.
I mean, it was enough.
No, but... So, bear with us a moment. I really don't want to skip this cutscene, because I like this cutscene. And it's badass.
Oh yeah, and my game of choice for today is I'm playing Fallout New Vegas slowly.
Slowly. Look, it's tripods.
So yeah, we've had
Yeah, we've had... So, well, episode bloody 6, it opens with... Yeah, it opens with the funeral of Gambit. And with Kurt giving the lovely eulogy.
yes, the odds were ever in his favour. I do love the accent they've got for Kurt.
It's the same actor that used to play him. It's.
I know, but it seems. I'm sure the voice is different.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
no. It's
obviously
because
the
he
voice
sounds
is
more
old.
German this time than he did all those years ago. He actually sounds German this time. That's why.
I mean, to be fair, that's how I think Germans sound anyway. So, I mean, like the other cut.
But yeah, in all essence, though, that episode. Excuse me, sorry. That episode starting with Kurt's buried, and then you get you get Bella. You notice Belladonna was there, as was some of the thieves. Did you also notice that Aurora was there?
Didn't notice that either.
Yeah. I think it's Aurora's name. I can't remember her name. But the one with the black and white hair that was like rose hair but black and white instead of, white and brown.
Oh.
Yeah. We get...
What?
Yeah, she stood next to one of the thieves. Basically, who's mourning, Remy. Then there's... we get Jubilee with the line of, "How could she not be here? It's his funeral, how could she not be here?" Referencing someone that's missing from the funeral.
Well, yes, someone very much obviously missing.
Yeah, that you thought would have been there at that funeral because of who it's for.
He'd be pissed off somewhere. We're having a drink.
I know, and then it's with Kurt's line of of him just going over the. It is not me with Wolverine saying that she's grieving as she's dealing with her own. It is not mere grief that she's dealing with Wolverine, and if it isn't, then Jubilee, our friend Jubilee, is right to be afraid.
Yeah, I mean, he's referring to the fact that what they because Wolverine wasn't there. I mean, Wolverine has seen many, many things in his time, but they were there for the massacre.
Yeah.
They witnessed it, and there are just some things there are some things you can't remove.
No.
Some grief that can't be taken.
And then
it cuts.
It is, and then it cuts to Rogue. It cuts to Rogue flying through the fucking air and like a supersonic, like supersonic speed or something.
Oh, yeah, things are going rapid.
And then as she lands doing the move that from the X-Men arcade game. If one of the X-Men arcade game moves from like the Capcom games. If you notice, when she hits the ground, she's doing.
What I did notice is how the animation had definitely taken a ramp up there with a lot of swooshes to give it a more anime effect, which I quite like.
I also like that when she hits the ground, you just see how pissed she is because the ground you just see the ground just sort of break underneath her as she hits as she smacks into it, and it's just like, oh dear, she's pissed. She's very pissed.
Not so happy.
No, she was definitely not happy.
Very good reason to not be happy, if I'm honest. But
yeah, definitely. She just lost Gambit.
Well, she lost, as Kurt would say later on,
and someone else.
She lost two people.
Yeah, she lost Gambit and she lost Magneto, our hero.
Have we? What name is? Do we know what name Magneto is going under here? Is it Magnuson or is
Eric.
it Eric?
It's Eric.
Fincher?
It's Eric, okay. or Magnus. I can't actually remember what his name was in the original. I don't think we ever get his name.
In the animation, it was Magnus.
Yeah, I think it's Magnus. You get Magnus. It's Magnus in this one.
And weird enough, I think it's Magnus Magnuson for some weird reason. In my head, I think it is.
I think it might be because I think the original show was kind of made before we got his full name.
Yeah, that's true. But also, they do like alliteration. To be fair, I don't actually. I kind of weirdly think the Eric Lyncher is the retcon. I think that might be. I could be wrong. I think that might be the retcon.
Yeah, we have with Magneto and Gambit so clearly so dead at the as far as we know at the start of this episode. We've got we have Rogue Flight. It's basically, and we also get a nice little cameo from General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
In it, as she starts ripping apart tanks and like knocking all the soldiers over. I have a feeling, by the way, she killed some of those soldiers. By the way, because I don't think she was pulling her punches in that episode.
Oh no, yeah, some of them definitely had some bad damage to, especially in the tank when she hit.
Oh yeah. She straight went on a rampage in that base, and then I loved Ross's line of "Men, relax. This base was built to contain the Hulk." And then Rogue breaks the fucking roof down on him, down into the bunker. It's like those were smart words there, Ross. They were very smart words, weren't they?
I do believe she's actually punched the Hulk to crap before.
Well, it's also I think it's a reference to in the comics how Ross always underestimates how strong the Hulk actually is.
And to be fair, well, I mean, the other thing I would say is that he actually he overestimates in many ways, or underestimates how strong everyone else is compared to the Hulk.
Yes, the Hulk's strength is proportionate to his anger, and the Hulk's not exactly that angry. He's strong, but he's not that strong. Especially in that period of comics that the show is set in, Hulk at that period isn't the Hulk we have now, which is super powerful and is basically has unlimited strength.
Yeah, we're decades away from World Buster Hulk and
Maestro and
all those sort of things. Yeah.
We're nowhere near that era of the Hulk yet. But it's just the fact that she breaks into the base and Ross pins Ross against the wall, asking where Gyrick is. As we find out, Gyrick has been taken from his prison cell or something. And Ross's exact line to it of, "I thought you guys were the good ones," and Rogue's response of just being, "You killed them, now you get me." Just oh no.
Oh yeah, because like when she loses her rag, she is gonna be a force.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, literally, all she has to do is walk around with a short sleeve shirt on and shorts on.
Yeah.
And you can't do pretty much anything to her.
Well, you could shoot. Well, technically, a lot of people forget is that Rogue technically is indestructible after a certain point.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing, but she actually there comes a point where Rogue is indestructible.
Yeah, she's her skin's almost completely invulnerable. As well, and she has all the strength and power sets of basically binary, which is the one power set just underneath Captain Marvel.
Yes, at that point, Carol Danvers is just Miss Marvel.
Is binary, yeah.
It's binary /
No, yeah. Well, it depends where you are in the.
In the show, she's story. Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
In the show, she's Miss Marvel at that point.
Yeah, because I think in the book she's either Binary or Warbird at that point because
Yeah.
she's gone way past that power set.
Yeah. But Rogue is just a force to be like reckoned with in the show, and it's basically revealed that some group kidnapped him, took him to some base in New Mexico. I think it's somewhere originally. To which we get a lovely scene of Rogue flying there, and then right as she's getting there, a very familiar-looking shield smacks dab in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see Captain America.
Yeah. You know what? I was very excited about that. I kind of was hoping for a little bit of a tussle for a bit. But, you know...
I think Cap knew at that point if he tried to fight her, he's going to lose that fight. I think
he did what he does well. He took people down.
Yeah, that's what he was trying to do well. I don't think he managed it in this instance.
He screwed up with the last couple of sentences, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was getting there.
He was getting there, and then the minute he's like, they're having a discussion, then we see on the screen the three letters, just the three little letters basically. He's like trying to figure out who this group is, OZT. Yeah.
Don't you feel silly?
And we both, says you.
I will say, yes, I did not completely get that straight away, but I have, and we can check these recordings. I have been saying, I wonder if they are going to do Bastion and Operation Zero Tolerance.
You have been saying Bastion for ages, but
I've been with all my theories. I've just been one. I haven't just gone extreme enough on what I think they're going to do.
No, you didn't. You didn't go extreme enough in this instance. Especially not after today's episode. As we carry on, we have Cap and Rogue having a chat, and it's Rogue, asking him for, basically saying, "Let me go get him now before these OZT guys have a chance to move him from Mexico." To which Cap goes, "I can't help you, Rogue. My hands are tied."
Mm-hmm. And that's when she's not happy. Well, I mean, if your hand, like she says, if your hands are tied,
then you don't be needing this, and throws his shield. I just fucking yeets the shield. And I was like, yeah, he deserved that, because what a lot of people are a lot of people that I've noticed when discussing this episode have been stating, they were like, "Oh, Cap wouldn't do that. He'd side with them because he always goes against government." I'm like, that was modern Cap. A lot of people are forgetting is the show is set in the 90s and it's taking inspiration from that era of comics, not the modern era so much. Yep. They're doing the
Captain America changed after Civil War for more than one reason. So it's I don't think he would have actually just sided with them there and then. No. Mutants were mutants. Mutants were outlaws for so long. Yeah. He was working on, in the comics, he was working on side to keep their damage out of the way of others. I don't see it.
Yeah, that in the comics at that era, Cap is very much at that point. He was not the "I'll go against the government because I can." He was I'm the government's lapdog most of the time at this point in time.
The government's good. Of course the government's good. I'm Captain America, and if it's the American government's doing good things.
Yeah.
So Civil War changed that. He saw what the opposite thing is. That was the point where we started getting Captain America realizing he doesn't want to follow the government anymore. It's also that ended in his assassination at the hands of at one point. The first time the Cap actually, I think, one of his first deaths. But we get Rogue confronting Garrick, and I love the subtle hint when she confronts him, and it's before she confronts him when she gets to the mansion, where he's being held, and it's like, this doesn't look like a prison, this looks like a vacation. Clearly, he's on the people that have freed him are friends of his. Yes,
and it's
he's not being held up here against his will.
No, he's very much living a lap of luxury at this point.
Yeah.
And then we get I do love when Garrett goes, "Tell your friend Scott's wife isn't going to be able to get inside my mind this time." It's just
Well, yeah, bad
yeah,
words. Could have could have chose those words a bit better.
yeah. You don't get them, you get me. It's just like, and then Rogue touching Garrick to absorb his memories and stuff, and then getting a lovely little flash of a certain two villains over each other.
Yep. Uh,
And
we got a. I mean, we got a lot.
well, the thing about it in that scene though is we also get that there's actually apparently the episode's going to be slightly longer, and there's a cutscene of what happens after that. The reason they find her on the stairs is apparently she goes on a bit of a rampage because of the Gyrick absorbing Gyrick.
Oh, now that I was wondering that, and I I just assumed for story reasons that's where they put it.
Yeah.
Sex Machina sort of thing. I would love to, mate. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if they're going to release this stuff on DVD and actually find out that these are going to be 45-minute episodes on DVD or something, or just extended episodes on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's apparently that's what some of the cutscene. There's a cutscene of that, or storyboard of her basically losing control at that point.
Okay.
But yeah, apparently is what happens. But whether that's actually true or it's just because it's rumored basically at the minute, it's not. We don't know it for definite, but apparently that's what's happened in that scene. It's supposed to happen in that scene. That's why they find her on the steps, because it doesn't.
Well, like I say, now you mention it, because it does make sense. There is definitely something missing there, because they didn't know where she was. How did they find out where she was?
Yeah, because they were just told to come to the embassy by yeah, and then we get the scene where it cuts back to the X-Men. They're in Genosha, picking the the dead out of the ground, basically, helping clear away the survivors, and we get the lovely scene. Of a bit. I think it's just a little bit forward with Jean and Scott having the discussion, basically where Jean knows that Scott's hurting over Madeline's death.
Yeah.
And stuff. And we get what is it? We get Jubilee trying to convince Sunspot to come out to his parents, basically.
Yeah, because and this all for me does stem from a great interview that happened with I keep thinking name, the guy that was fired.
Bo Mayo.
Bodemar. So yeah, he explained the whole scene in Genosha, and why it's done why he did it the way he did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he was someone that went to the Pulse nightclub, and he was like, well, there were people there that were dancing, drinking, making love, having fun, and then all of a sudden the person in front of them was dead because someone had encroached on this space, someone of hate.
Yeah.
But then he also said, but then so he's talking about that as an experience. But then when you get what happened then, and you go to what Jubilee was saying to him then about why he should tell his mum, is because, like, if we'd been in Genosha, your mum would have got a confusing phone call about mutants and a party and people dying and the police, and she won't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's got. I mean, there were people at that Pulse that weren't out with their family. It was their secret. It was their thing. This was their life away from that. And all of a sudden, their family would be getting phone calls. They were in this place, and this happened. And it is just going to be a hit after a hit after a hit. And you think, well, do I know the person I'm being told about it? So yeah, that was all very dark and powerful. I thought it was.
This episode was very dark. A lot of it was quite dark and quite. It was touching on the serious subjects that a lot of some of the complaints people who to me have never read an X-Men comic or watched watched the original series or and stuff like that. Some of the people that are like that, I have the strangest feeling that people like that that have that sort of attitude where they go, "Oh, the show's too woke because why are they touching this stuff?" It's like they're forgetting that X-Men itself wasn't originally invented as a way for minorities. Because Stanley just went, "I wanted to make a cool way of making powers." Is what the original interview for what they came up with, so they didn't have to explain powers. how these guys got their powers anymore. It's just they were born this way. But then over time, he realised it was a perfect... Because Stan Lee, a lot of people forget, is was kind of a little bit of a swinging 60s, hippie free rights for everyone person. He was very much... He hated his social injustice. He's like one of those people that was very much for civil rights. And saw a way to make the X-Men sort of that thing. The civil... Because Xavier and Magneto is MLK and, Malcolm X. It's the two, the two opposing ideologies of that, of those movements. You know what I mean? That's what they they're similar to. That's what they're kind of like they're not probably not invented as it, but that's what they've basically become, an allegory of Malcolm X and MLK.
In many ways, yes. I mean, you've got one who is. So Magneto doesn't come in for a little bit into the books anyway. When is it? I think it's, weirdly enough,
I think it's probably when they started realizing that we can use these as an allegory for stuff.
So there was one that was the peaceful guy. Well, in theory, one was the peaceful guy and one wasn't. But then, the peaceful guy did have a school of paramilitary students. So the kind of analogy stops in many ways there. That kind of comes in a bit later on. But the guys at Marvel at this point, there's a lot of old Jewish guys there. Their families. So the X-Men in particular were always shown as a figure of the disenfranchised and the oppressed. That was kind of, to an extent, their role, especially once the idea of the humans just not liking them and being different thing was more prevalent. I like how that has modernized. I mean, yes, civil rights isn't exactly in a perfect place as it is. It's a hell of a lot better than it was in the 80s. It's a hell of a lot better it was in the 60s. So progression. But in this case, they have kind of used the mutant allegory in many ways here for a mirror to a lot of what was going on in especially his life in the LGBT community, plus community.
We have things are better these days. Like, no, they're not as bad as they used to be in like the 60s for people that are like. I'm sorry, but the most on the nose one for me was back in episode 2. Is it Mutant Liberation Begin? The what's his face? The Executioner. The normal people have it hard too. It's the whining. Yeah. And I'm like, the only one whining at this point is you, not them. And it's like this was very much on the nose to me. Of this is what happens in our day and age. It's suddenly. Peg.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very much a person that likes to point out people that are making their own issues, because there are some things in life where you see it and you go, "This wasn't an issue for anyone."
No.
Until you made it an issue, and then a group of people that are always going to be opposed to it, because that's the way the world works. They're going to be opposed to it. But then there are some things that actually are a problem, and if you're not part of that community, it's not a problem for you. And yes, life is shit if you're not part of that community, because life can be shit. But you know what? On the community that's being disenfranchised, they have that as well as
they have the same shit you've got, and they've got the shit they've got to deal with. I mean, I don't think I've ever. I don't know if this is something personal. Like you, as I'm a member of the LGBT community anyway. As a funny Jax. But as I don't think we've ever heard of anyone being disowned from their family just for being straight.
No, I mean I don't know if we're not about 10 years away from it, but no, not quite so much yet.
No. But we do hear about it all the time for people, like their families just straight up kicking them out for them coming out as anything LGBT. and it's like, oh, cool. It's like, yeah, it's like there are fundamental issues. Like there are issues that are societal issues that we need to solve as a society together. That's the thing. There are lots of issues we need to solve as a society together. I'm not saying that, as you full well know me, I will not say that like the community I'm part of issues are bigger than race issues or than, you know.
No, oh no, they're not. No, it's not that they're not. These are comparable things to
Yeah.
each other. One is not greater than the other.
Yeah.
One may affect more people, but it's still to the person. It is the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that is like I said, everyone's going through shit. You just don't need to stack more on top of someone else's.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer of, if it doesn't affect my life, if it doesn't like harm my life, then live and let live. That's my entire response to life and everything. Why I will never understand people getting offended at someone else being gay or someone else being trans or anything. I will never understand why people get upset because someone else is something, because it does not affect their life at all. But we have gotten off topic of the episode.
No, we haven't kind of really, because we aspire to the Xavier School of Thought in that aspect, whereas some people many people named Andrew in entertainment circles would be more of a Magneto or even a Sinister.
Ah, yes. Sinister.
I
love Sinister. Yeah. Sinister's a bad guy.
Sinister is great. So we
get back to the episode. But we get the lovely scene with as they're like searching for survivors and Jubilee and that having a chat. We get the scene with Hank and Trish, the reporter.
Yes. And do you know what? I saw them both walking into the trap of semantic words, and I knew that was going to be heartbreaking because they are a thing in the comic books, and I think I still believe this is the darkest timeline. I knew they weren't going to be, and it was going to be something misunderstood or misspoken that was going to cause the big crack.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, is it a crack?
I also love the two of them together. The two of them. I'm trying to remember. Isn't Trish the one that he gave her? It was what was the woman's name that he gave her eyesight to in the original series? That they were both kind of in love with each other.
Oh,
it was Amelia, innit?
I think so, because it's very similar to the Ben Grimm and his.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Is that Felicia?
I can't remember her name, but I know who you mean. It's the Ben Grimm and his the one who fell in love with him, who's blind.
Yeah, her uncle's the puppet master.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, we have that moment, and then, which did you not get a sense that we were going to see Sublime for a second? I mean, it was the way he started sort of almost talking about Magneto's ideal instead of Xavier's.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, we're getting him as well. It
does feel like we're getting all of them are being somewhat radicalized, and it's like it does feel like all of them are sort of falling slowly to Magneto was right. We're gonna get it. I have a feeling that the end of this season, based on what without spoiling anything right now of the next episode, based on what we've seen next, I have a feeling we're going to see a split of the team. The team is going to split. It's going to fracture.
Yeah.
With one side, with both of them splitting onto either side.
I think we're gonna, and do you know what? I think once again we're both going to be partially right, weirdly, on this one. Whereas you think they're going to use the story in which I don't believe you. This is what you said at one point. I could easily be wrong. I don't want to be putting much enough, but that we're going to see what happened in the Grant Morrison stuff, in which the younger versions of the X-Men come back and sort of show the bad ones how far they've fallen in only a few years, and we haven't got. And well, don't want to spoil anything for the next episode, but there is someone missing in the next episode that could actually affect that affect that happening.
Well, I have a feeling we're going to get someone who's not in the next episode when they do return. I have a feeling they're going to become the leader of the team finally. If you're thinking of the same character.
Well, we'll find out in a minute when we start talking about the next episode.
Then we get in the episode we get the little bit where where they find another survivor. They get a telepathic thing, and I love that Scott immediately runs off, hoping it's Madeline though. Like that,
yes.
The connection between the two of them, it's so well done. Like, yeah, she's a clone of Jean, so yeah, it makes sense. He's a bit obsessed with her because he's obsessed with Jean. Not going to lie and say he isn't. He is.
I also I'll keep that in mind, by the way, because something gets said in the next episode that I think someone knows something more than they're telling in that respect, and could have and doesn't want to say anything for personal reasons. But yes, so we get all of that.
We do. We get then the telepath. Who is the telepath?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought we skipped it. It's freaking Emma Frost in
diamond form. Finally, we get Emma's secondary mutation actually activated. And I love the callback to the comic because having read the original comic and the scene where they find her when she's in that bit, because I can see we've not got her school. We haven't got her school because a lot of people don't realize in the comic Emma Frost was teaching at the time of the massacre. Because in the comics she's a teacher.
Well, no, didn't she become a teacher after the Hellfire Club collapsed?
Yeah, I think it was. She became a teacher in Genosha.
Yeah. She was actually. She did. She's a bad guy technically.
Oh yeah.
Oh, she's over every now and again. But where we get her, and it's not Madeline, and there is happiness and sadness going on. And then we go over to the other team.
Well, then we go back up. We go over to Jubilee and Sunspot first. We get them going to see his mother, and finally reveal to her that he's a mutant, which I love. The way that was handled.
Yes, I did, and I loved the way that they pointed out certain things because once again I've seen this happen with friends where they've come out to their parents and they were like, yeah.
Your point? We already knew this. It's kind of obvious.
Yeah, your friend Lee is over every weekend, and sometimes he gets drunk and walks around the house in his boxer shorts at 3 a.m.
Kind of already knew.
But yeah.
And I love the way they did that because it is such it's a natural way of doing it. And it's quite individual to a lot of people's coming out experience where you're scared to tell your parents or just close family and friends this stuff. Because the reality is you never know how they're going to react to someone's going to react.
No, very true. But there is this underlying sinisterness to the nicety as well. Yeah. She makes the line of, "Oh, we're going to have to get you the right friends," kind of a thing, because you don't want to be seen with these people. So it's all good you being that, but let's not tell anyone all that. Yeah. Yeah,
because it's bad for business. Shareholders don't like this. Very much that I love my son, but my image comes first.
Yeah.
It's that what are you going to do? Reflect on me. That if you think about it, it's that old kind of fashioned thinking of my child is an extension of me. They represent, you know what I mean? It's very
very much so. But I see now. But weird enough, one of the things that I'm wondering about in the future, because I've said it before, I am seeing a lot of correlation to more towards the in particular back then the gay scene.
Yeah.
Because it hadn't flourished out to the wonderful array it was there now. Is now.
No.
Uh, and I'm wondering if because it was the 90s, I'm wondering if the next story we're going to actually get in this, because of what we've been seeing with characters and things and how things have been progressing, is maybe getting the legacy virus.
Yes.
Because that's something I think they would have tried to do in the 90s because of the big AIDS epidemic, but they would have been told no. And nowadays would actually be done very, very well.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Very well.
Something that back then they wouldn't have been able to touch, because like there are a bunch of storylines that you actually, if you see interviews with these comic writers, a lot of the writers back from then, that they're like, I want to do this, and they're told they can't do it. We can't do that. It's a no-go. No touch. We're not touching it. And you realise that it's because at the time those stuff were just like were kind of just untouchable, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so like I said, I think this is going to be. I think we're actually going to be seeing an opportunity to actually see a lot of these things play out in good ways, and that is a great storyline. I hope to see something like that, because it does affect so much of the mutant landscape for a very long time, and it is perfectly in line with the era we're in. But I weirdly do think we're going to be jumping, although not maybe jumping eras, we're going to be jumping stories in time. And I think we are going to be going towards something either Grant Morrison or John Hickman style, with either House of X or what was the other run with the Cassandra Nova in the end? Can't remember. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I weirdly think that that's where we're going to be heading towards in series 2, but we still haven't finished this episode. So we head over. The team have been given a bit of information. That if you go to a building in the UN, there's always diet soda in the machine or something like that. And when they get there, everyone's knocked out, all the security is knocked out, and Morph goes, "Oh, soda," and takes the diet, and of course a lift opens up. Hidden lift, elevator. And they make their way to a special room that is just lined with very advanced robotics. Hello?
Can you? Oh yeah, too advanced. Sorry, yeah, very advanced robotics. Sorry, I muted myself a second. I muted myself a second while I was taking a drink.
Fair enough. Sorry, I thought everything was shut down on me.
No.
Yeah, no. So very advanced robotics and a very familiar face.
Yeah.
About to jump off the roof.
Yes, with our good old friend Bolivar Trask. Finally, we catch up with Trask again, and he is absolutely remorseful for what happened in Genosha.
Oh yeah, his big thing, even in the comic books, was he made these the Sentinels in his head the bad mutants. These were the ones that were causing massive crimes everywhere and smashing places up. People like Magneto. He didn't expect it to go the way it did.
Yeah, he didn't. He never made them to fight the X-Men, because the X-Men were basically, as far as he said, these are good mutants. They help humans, and they try and put a stop to mutants doing bad things to humans. So he was like, he never really wanted to harm them. But then, he met Gyrick, and he met the other various people that have basically corrupted his vision into the Sentinel program because these were people threatened by mutants instead.
Yeah. So it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
that entire scene was brilliant. It's like Trask, Rogue flying up to him, just grabbing him to stop him. Yeah, he's going to save him, and telling them to be useful and give them information on where the real bad guys are. To which I think you
Uh-huh.
could. To which what does Trask reply?
He didn't know anything.
No, he didn't. He knew absolutely nothing, and
And she couldn't do nothing for him.
just drops him. To which we get a
Yeah,
nice
and look,
slow motion scene. If you notice, it went in slow motion of him. Which I normally hate slow motion scenes. But the slow motion scene of him, falling to the, falling off the building. To then,
yeah, I mean,
it cuts to Kurt basically to the Kurt where Wolverine basically congratulating her. If you noticed, what we all wanted to do.
That'd be his option in the first place.
Yeah.
Kurt is like the rest of us.
Well, and you notice that Jean's face looks like she's saying, "Do it again." And Scott is also basically like Scott and Jean's face both look like they're basically saying, "Do it again."
Here's the thing: both Jean and Kurt could have saved him.
Yeah, and they did nothing.
Like I say, one just seems completely blasé about the whole thing. The other one is shocked by it, but still doesn't do anything to prevent their dropping to the ground. But then you hear the words
"Mutant detected," and then bam, and you just see the explosion, and Rogue's getting knocked like unconscious. Mutant threat neutralized, and you just see the floating robotic corpse of Trask.
A prime sentinel on full display.
It's like, here we go.
And honestly, I thought we were gonna get. I did like the reveal. Part of me kind of wishes they had not done it that way and had done it more the way they did the episode later, and we can discuss that.
Oh yeah.
Because it kind of the way that happened for me would be, like I say, the first guy changes and it's like, well, we can take him out. We he's already dead technically, and then all of a sudden it's mutant detected, mutant detected, mutant detected, mutant detected. Ah, shit.
Yeah, it's just an army of them.
That brings it up. But that fight though, that first fight should actually just show how strong a single Sentinel is.
The fact that it literally, that first blows like the building apart, and we get to see Jean using her powers properly, without failing, and she throws the fucking building in the water, which was fucking awesome.
Yeah, she's getting stronger.
She throws the building straight in the water, and we have them all fighting this Prime Sentinel, which is like it just taking them all out. Just every single time it hits one of them, it's just mutant threat neutralized as it just bodies the team. That's the bit that makes it so good. It's the fact that it just bodies the whole team.
I mean, it takes a future warrior.
Yeah, and then we get the lovely bit where it's fighting Scott, and you've got Prime Sentinel Trask going. Remember what I said to you back in the Sahara? Gloating because it has access to Trask's memories, obviously. To which we then just see a lovely familiar grenade land right next to Scott, that then takes it out.
Completely out.
Yeah.
It is the reveal that we've got Cable back.
Cable's finally back, and with him and Scott finally realizing who Cable actually is after all these years.
Yep, and it will be so that's now they cleared up that big circle very, very quickly, which I thought was actually quite nice.
Yeah,
it's finally getting sorted. I like the where she's back in his mind and he's like, "Get out! You're not her.
You're not her." Yeah, the fact that Cable referenced the fact that you two aren't. You're not Madeline. You're not my mother. It's just
which weirdly I think they're going to slightly retcon as they go on.
No, I have a feeling what it is she's going to become the surrogate mother, his surrogate mother,
Yeah,
basically.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's how they're going to sort of slightly retcon it.
Which I think makes sense. It's the idea that, yeah, he didn't know his parents were alive, but Jean and Madeline are the same person. The only difference being Jean is the original. But it is in we get him basically saying it's not Sinister that he's working for. Sinister's working for someone else, and then we get the lovely reveal finally of Bastion.
Well, no, well, I mean, yes, we do, but we get it to in a very sneaky way. We're over the recuperation bed.
Yes, we did get the first reveal of him earlier, like before after the team, because unfortunately we did miss that scene. Before they go to Madripoor, the team does find Rogue sitting on the stairs, and Kurt basically talks to her about her grief, and then she breaks down tears, which I'll admit I cried at that bit when she broke down crying, because it's like even I was like it's a very good scene in that bit where showing us just the grief. Just it's a very good scene because it showcases why we connect with these characters, because they aren't done like a bad way, they're done in a really good way.
Yeah.
We're shown that they're just as human as we are, basically. Even though these are superpowered beings who have all these amazing powers, they're still just as human as you or I.
Although we did skip, the reveal for Bastion comes with Guy Ritchie in bed after recuperating from whatever Rogue done to him. And
first he's pleased, remember? And then first Garrick is pleased when he sees Bastion, remember?
Yes. Yeah, he thinks everything's going good. Unfortunately, the song in the background is the One-Eyed, One-Eyed Blind Purple People Eater, and that song never comes on in a good way. So,
no, but that straight up fucking just covers his mouth and just chokes him out, and just stops him from breathing. It's like, oh wow.
You shouldn't have messed up my plan.
But it was also the fact that that was a dark way of killing someone for like for this sort of show. It's like I was expecting just to
some sort of blast,
or to do it off screen. You know what I mean? No. Yeah. They straight just showed him just choking the guy out. It's like, oh god. They weren't kidding when they were saying this is definitely aimed at us adults.
Or more mature audience. Yeah, 100%. And just a great way to end it, to be fair.
Yeah, and then when we get to the scene of Bastion and Bastion and Sinister having a chat with Bastion's lovely line, Sinister's line, Bastion's line to Sinister: "You guys have been failing to kill these guys since '92."
1992, I had to laugh.
Just the fact that we're going to point out that the bad guys in this show were a bit silly. We're just getting beat constantly.
Yeah. And as a wise man once said, don't throw stones in glass houses.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah, we then enter the episode with the reveal of we hear of him in a barbershop, and then the reveal of him going, we hear the one-eyed, Purple People Eater song again. It's quite about this, as he's talking to none other than gagged and captured Magneto. He didn't die.
Ready to be saved.
He captured Magneto.
And he's talking to him about, and see, now I think at this point, I thought at the time, it's got to be he's trying to do some sort of brainwashing on him.
I don't think. I think that what happens in the next episode has actually messed his plans up. I don't think he was expecting what to happen happens.
Weirdly enough, after I just said the whole thing about brainwashing again in my head, I think what happens at the end of that is Bastion's plan, and it makes perfect sense as to why it's part of Bastion's plan.
Okay, why?
Well, Magneto, the guy who's not only been the terrorist leader that was then made the head of Genosha,
Mm-hmm.
has just wiped all electronics off of the face of the earth, basically bringing everyone back to the Stone Age.
Oh yeah.
The only thing that can now come back and fix this is, well, actually, some of my Sentinels are completely protected against EMPs
Yeah.
because they're people and they haven't turned yet.
True.
Isn't that because they've already pointed out that the mutants were liars because Charles Xavier isn't dead. He's starting up an alien colony that might come back and attack us.
Also, oh yeah. Well, the next episode opens with the UN basically getting the video. Oh, and he also at the end of the episode also reveals to Sinister, Charles is alive with the scene that we saw when Lilandra announced him to the to the Shi'ar Empire.
Yep.
That was quite a uh-oh. But I will say, I did say to you though, didn't I, that I full well think Charles is the reason that everything's going to start going to shit. It's going to be Charles's fault, and it is essentially Charles's fault because if he hadn't because Charles is alive, that everything's going back to the way it was if you think about it, because they're basically
this is it. Yeah, and that's why, like I say, I mean, when we get to that point in the episode, we talk about that point in the episode, I think it actually kind of makes sense now. I mean, the other option made sense as well, but this is kind of even more insidious and sinister.
Mm-hmm.
For want of a better term. I just like saying sinister.
Well, you like Mr. Sinister, that's why.
Dude. Everything should have one of those little diamonds of hearts on them.
But in the first episode of the finale begins with what is it? Begins with one of the best openings in my opinion. It begins with just a brilliant opening of
Well, before we get to that, can we just point out how well they hid? I've been watching loads of different videos on this, and how well they hid what the storyline kind of is from everyone with a name like Tolerance is Extinction. And I know people like us, we were picking every storyline imaginable the world could have ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And not one person went, Operation Zero Tolerance is Extinction kind of a thing. No?
Yeah.
No,
No.
everyone went, oh, it's going to be this. No, it's going to be Galactus. No, it's going to be a multiversal event. Nope.
No.
It's what it told you. It's exactly what it told you.
Operation Zero fucking Tolerance is in effect. It's just like, oh no.
I am upset that my favourite character from that storyline was murdered in Genosha. As my favourite character from that storyline was Mara. I loved Mara. And yeah, she obviously she was killed on Genosha in the arms of Banshee, of all people.
Yeah, and we get the whole beginning of Operation Response. We get Cable revealing that why is he not back with Bishop? Because they got separated when they went in the time stream. We get the answer to why he didn't stop Genosha. Because he can't.
It's a fixed point.
It has to.
Every time he gets there, he gets pulled away.
Yeah, to which Hank basically, which our lovely friend Hank McCoy basically mentions Cabotage.
Yeah.
And saying that there are points in history that are fixed points. Perhaps that is why Cable cannot change it. Because every time he tries to get near it, time's pushing him away because he cannot change that event. It has to happen. The Massacre of Genosha is a fixed point in history.
Would be interesting at this point because does he mention who he talks to at Cabotage, or does he just mention it's the Mystics? I can't remember.
Yeah, he just mentions Mystics and Cabotage. That's all he says.
Yeah, because it would be interesting to see who their Sorcerer Supreme is.
Yeah, it would be. Probably Strange at this point.
But oh yeah, it'd be Strange anyway. I was thinking it would be if it was the other place. If it was the one from Multiverse of Madness, it would have been the
Mordo.
other guy. But no, of course, it would have been Mordo. But of course, no, it wouldn't have been Mordo until after the events of everything that happened in there. So yeah, it would still be a Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I could give him a different color cloak though, and show you if it's
Yeah. Well, Strange is
if they
also
are the universe.
well. Strange was in the Spider-Man cartoon. We already know it was linked to the X-Men universe from the Spider-Man cartoon having a crossover episode with the X-Men. Remember?
No. So what I'm saying is this animated universe the universe in which we saw from Multiverse of Madness?
Oh no.
Because that would be the interesting.
Feige's already said that he thought about linking them to the MCU originally, but decided not to.
Well, no, but it wouldn't link them to the MCU proper. It would only link them to that one universe in which everyone died at the end, thanks to Scarlet Witch. Remember, Professor Xavier had the same wheelchair as.
Oh yeah, no, the 97 X. But then also, adversely, the Marvel's end credit scene had Hank McCoy from this universe as well, basically. Because I remember he looked more. It might have been Kelsey Grammer, but that was definitely Hank McCoy from this show. Because that's what he looked.
They modelled on this beast, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
They full well knew what they were doing with it. That like, yeah, we know you love Beasts. We know you love this show, so we're gonna model our Beast on the guy from this show.
Oh, yeah. They also wanted to make sure that we were
aware.
We were focused in and aware. Yeah.
They were like, we know what's coming. They're coming to the MCU eventually. Now we know they're coming now. Finally, which in my opinion is the best thing. We're finally going to get the best superhero team besides Fantastic Four. But something what you were saying before about them being a representation of stuff, like being I saw sort of a meme. It's a meme, but I saw it as quite a decent one where it's the Avengers are just co-workers. The Fantastic Four is a family. The X-Men is basically a queer network of found families that occasionally work together.
Like I say, yeah. I mean, it could be any
It's any disparate group, but it's like it's kind of a good meme that's
especially in this modern animation. Yes, that one 100%.
Yeah, it's very much a thing because Fantastic Four have always been the family. Yeah,
it's a refuge house for people. That's what it is. I mean, they call it a school, but they're all the waifs and strays that have nowhere else to go.
Yeah. These are the people that have basically mostly been either been abandoned by families, abandoned by friends, or other things have happened that have caused them to basically have to leave where they used to live, because maybe the country they live in is doesn't allow mutants, or locks them up, etc. It's the X-Men have always been this representation of the stuff that's fighting against the injustice of the world now is what they've basically become. But that, in the sense, but that's not just the X-Men. You ever look at comics, that's actually all superheroes. Superheroes have always been political. They've always been some sort of political about superheroes. It's just never... X-Men is the only one that does it overtly, because that's the point of of them. That's the thing they've become. But in regards to this episode,
there are some, yeah. There are very much some that are heavily political in some fashion because of how they were created. Yeah, I'll go for that. Not necessarily all, but no. I mean, hell, Superman was a creation of two old Jewish guys that wanted to create a hero that would protect anyone.
Yeah.
That wasn't just a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy. He was. He had brown hair. He wasn't a quintessential Aryan. He was different. He was.
He was also not even human. He's not even human. He's just this alien that lands on Earth, and the only reason he has the morals he does is because it was instilled into him by his Earth parents. Just being the nicest, just be kind. That's basically the thing that the Kents instilled into Superman, and it's the bit that, as much as I've said, I'm not a Superman fan. It's the one thing that I'll agree with Superman. He is one of those characters that is best done when like he's brilliant when he's done right. When you get
I
like
know. I
human
mean, yeah.
aspect of him, of even though he's an alien, he's still Earth
So I
is his
don't
home.
know. I don't know. Not many people get the link to this. But there is a reason why he's called Kal-El. El, actually, how it's spelled as Kal-El is a Hebrew word. It's an old word for God. So Kal would be son of God.
Hmm.
If you check it out, it is a one of those weird things. Um, yeah, there is a characters like Superman are innately, weirdly, do have a political history
Oh yeah,
to them to a minimum extent. As in modern day, obviously, storytelling and storytellers use those characters in many fantastic ways to represent different things. But yeah, like you say, that certain teams and groups and characters are meant to be made the way they are. You get all the family stories and family dynamics and the problems with that with a Fantastic Four. You get the uh, not quite the usual family setup because of tragedy in Spider-Man.
yeah,
This is a young man living with an old relative, which does happen for different reasons.
yeah.
Um, and these were stories they hit on. And like I say, with the X-Men, and in particular, in some cases, when they really had to talk about more of, we're the people that can't hide, like some people can. You had the Morlocks.
Yeah,
You got to really bump into some of these big social issues.
that was
Um,
the point.
and, and because of what they are, it was perfect for so many.
Like
And
broad
that's, I think, that's
spectrums
why.
of people, and that's the thing. I think, like you say, it's why they
Yeah,
work.
you can always. I mean, I mean, I say because of how I just perceive things at this moment in time and the way stories are being told here. I've put it towards one group of people, but like I said, you hear everyone saying, oh, not everyone, but every group can say this represents us.
Yeah,
But that's because that's how well this story has been told
yeah. It's also
and
how
how.
well the X Men translate to like a number of different issues beyond like the LGBT community, beyond like the black community, beyond like minorities, beyond everything. They associate with everyone basically. Everyone can sort of every sort of like community that has some sort of disenfranchisement or some sort of like has been at one point can associate with them, like because they are such a broad, you know, like set of
Yeah, but
characters.
it all is the same thing, really. Because once again, if so many groups identify themselves within those group of characters in that situation, one thing all those situations show us is that removing the people's fear of whatever it is they're frightened of, and giving them more access to how normal life is,
Hmm.
um, with everyone involved. Um, that's the way of breaking down these barriers.
Yeah.
Um, Not necessarily um, trying to make everything a conflict.
No, it's. I think that's the point of. I think that's what Charles's point of view is. Charles' point of view was all about cooperation and finding the common ground between the humans and mutants to work them both together. Yeah, in every single like sort of these big social movements, you have two sides of it of every social movement like this. You have the side that is wants to learn to cooperate and live with each other, and then you have the side that is like even I'll admit among every community, if you have that side that has had enough, if you know what I mean, the groups that have had enough and they that become. But the problem is sometimes, like example, the biggest thing for some community for me, the biggest thing that always comes to mind is when the LGBT community sort of had that reached that breaking point and had enough. The point that a lot of people remember, I think you can remember that was before my time and possibly before yours. That the bit that sparked it all, Stonewall,
Mm.
the Stonewall riot was
All
basically
right, yeah.
was the spark because it was it was the point where it was the breaking point where people had reached that breaking point and were done. It was like I am.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that preceded it. I mean, yeah, that was just it kind of was a little bit before my time, if I'm honest.
Oh yeah. Well, I wasn't sure. I always forget how old you are. But we have kind of got off track again, by the way. Again, as per usual, putting the world to rights.
Yeah, I mean, that's because how good this stuff is.
Yeah. But yeah, we get the opening of that episode with. We find out why Cable can't change Genosha, why Cable's back, and also we get the thing that the future Cable lands in is a utopia.
Ish.
For humans.
Yeah. It's a slave colony for mutants.
Yeah. Because humans basically evolved by merging with the machines. The Prime Sentinels basically became the new human race, and because they were basically Sentinels that were capable of reproduction rather than. So, yeah, that was a reveal and a half, which is the reason Cable's back in the past is because. But he's trying to prevent a future where mutants become slaves. This time.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple little things that he mentioned that I wonder if you caught on to, because like I said, I mentioned these things. Or could they be connected in some way? The Bastion nanites are similar to
Techno-organic
the virus that runs through his body.
Yeah, they are. They are the techno-organic derived from the techno-organic virus. Also, we finally find out when Bastion was made, and I now understand why Bo was telling us to watch One Man's Worth. Bishop created this future.
He did by killing a Nimrod in the 60s.
Yeah. But we also had confirmation that he did actually essentially destroy that Nimrod to the point of it couldn't repair itself.
Yeah. Only a few nanites remained available. And yeah, I mean, it's very good, very good. It took. I did watch those episodes, and I was like, this don't make sense. How is he like a 30-year-old man? He should be still like a baby. All this stuff only happened a few days ago, right? And I was like, oh wait a minute, there was time travel involved. Let me just check dates. It might be a bit old.
Yeah. Now we have a kind of a reason for why in that very first season, why when we went to Genosha, why there was Cable possibly in Genosha.
He's constantly bouncing back, trying to find a way to stay or do something earlier.
Yeah, he was trying to prevent Bastion's future.
Yeah. Loads of great little bits.
It does create a slight plot hole from his original episode. When he first found out he's a time traveler, but that could be that Cable is the Cable that actually succeeds in this episode. And accidentally, because it's at the point of the time travelers is every time they succeed in preventing their future, the darker one keeps takes its place.
Oh yeah, but then also it could be stated that him changing the future then is what causes the actions of things to pass that makes Genosha a thing. I mean, everything that Cable did may now be completely erased.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. Didn't all the events of One Man's Worth technically get erased?
No, because remember, One Man's Worth is where Bishop also then gets trapped in the time stream when he tries to return.
Yeah, but don't all the others just disappear? Is Storm and Wolverine?
Yeah, Storm Wolverine are wearing the bands, remember, and he tells them the minute you take those bands off, you'll be erased from the time stream.
Yeah.
But as history, because remember they were from an alternate future that got aborted by saving Charles.
Yeah, but then it's technically so of his. I'm just wondering if maybe they're going to try and say that that point in time is either later on in Cable's timeline or isn't now part of the timeline
Well,
because of events.
one man's future memory, that's Bishop, not Cable.
What's the one with Cable then?
Cable's the Days of Future Past.
So I'm getting so confused.
Cable's one where he's the time traveler is the one where where Bishop goes back in time and destroys the virus that Apocalypse is making to get rid of the plague. But because he gets rid of the plague, the mutants it eliminates Cable's timeline. If
that's right. I'm really trying what's happening.
Yeah, it's that weird. It's basically because by eliminating the virus, it stops Cable and like half the mutants in his timeline being born, and his son dies because of it. His son ceases to exist. So he goes back in time to try and kill Bishop originally, and then realizes throw Wolverine into the virus because then you get the mutant antibodies. You know when Gyric's using the mutant plague to try and stir up hate for the mutants.
That was the legacy virus. Yeah, okay.
And then he gets infected.
Yeah.
I love that bit because he gets infected, and it's where my favourite Apocalypse line comes from in the original series. You know which line I'm on about. I am as far beyond mutants as they are beyond you. It's just the sheer fucking. I love Apocalypse. He is full of himself, but he's able to back it up. That's what's worse.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, we get tangent, distracted, sidetracked.
Yeah.
We can't help it, unfortunately. There's just so many plot lines that are finally converging, from so long ago.
It really is. But anyway, so Cable starts to
Jax, you're lagging.
I'm lagging?
There you go, you're back to normal. Your internet went really weird for a second and you just started like that.
Oh no, that's how I talk.
You started legitimately you were just lagging between speech, between words.
So yeah, we Cable tells the group via his laser projection I-beam exactly how, from what he knows, how Bastion was created as some mix between a Nimrod and a Mother Mold.
Master Mold.
The Master Mold.
And then...
but then they had got some... And he actually, at some point, because he couldn't keep going back and witnessing the death, he'd actually stopped. His line was... Wolverine said, "How long you've been doing this?" He says, "Long enough to give up."
Yeah.
And then one of the rogues...
One of his rebels,
one of his rebels, that was it, had found a new piece of information. The place where he was created.
One of Bastion's facilities in this time period.
Mm-hmm.
To which
also, at this time, by the way, there was a couple of other things going on, little side stories. The reporter has turned back up at the mansion to have a heart-to-heart conversation with Hank McCoy.
Yep. Scott, Jean, and then Scott, Jean, and Cable leave to go and destroy the facility. The Summers family goes on a family trip.
And Jubilee and her partner are talking to his parents, and they are funding a charity support that evening for the survivors of Genosha.
Yep.
Because he wants to help the good ones, and that upsets Jubilee.
Well, it upsets Jubilee because the way she speaks, and
100%.
She basically speaks condescendingly about we're going to help some of the, and then Jubilee and her have an argument basically about it where she goes, where her and Roberto leave because, you've got a trust fund and I've got a sense of style. So let's go treat ourselves some retail therapy.
Yep, so they take the butler with them
Yep.
shopping.
Yeah. Which, it's fully well his mother is concerned about appearances, that's the truth.
Yes, very much so. She doesn't really want a mutie in the family. And then... is there anyone else with anyone else? I think they're all the...
And then there's Morph, Wolverine, and Hank watching over Rogue, who's unconscious in the bed.
Oh no! So Hank's with the reporter.
Yep.
They're having their conversation, looking over Trask's body, trying to see if there's any more Prime Sentinels like him.
Yeah, he's beginning the modifying Cerebro to scan for Prime Sentinels, and then when Summers get to Bastion's secret facility. It's not actually a secret facility. It's Bastion's childhood home, where he was born.
Yes. With there's a great little bit where there's a old rusted bike without a wheel, and Jean gets the flashback, as it were, or the psychic energy flashback of what was there, and you see that the wheel of the bike gets coloured in psychically, but also the word 0 gets etched into the side of the bike.
Yeah. We get the lovely. We get to meet Bastion's mother.
Yep.
Who is actually not surprised the X-Men is there. That she thought they'd be coming tomorrow, not today. Which is quite a...
Yeah, which is why I'm thinking this is part of plans in play.
Either that, or it's or she's a bit delusional at that point and thinking that they're someone else. He may have been...
Well, that is true, but
because remember,
the image he then picks out at the very end for them to look at is a very poignant one.
Oh yes. We then get the Jean looking at Bastion's thing and finding out that how Bastion was created, that some of Nimrod survived, basically, and merged with his father to create a child that was part Sentinel, part human.
Yes.
Essentially.
Which I wondered if that's what they were going to do in this, if there was going to be a human element to it. Because weirdly enough, last week I said that I wondered if because he's a character in the story, but we haven't seen yet in this newer iteration. And the fact that he's a blonde guy in it, I wonder if Annabelle was going to be the genetic base for Bastion.
No, it
No,
appears...
I was wrong. It's a born kid.
Yeah.
Not a mutant, but has powers.
Yeah. You know who I first thought of when he was born, when about it. I was thinking he was going to be Machine. It was Machine Man.
Yeah, you're pretty much very similar power sets, to be honest. Would make sense.
Yeah. But yeah, it was that reveal. Then we get his mother who finally finds him after this again, and she goes, "My son was an artist, and he painted this one. This is his greatest work yet." And it's a picture of.
Well, it was called his dream, his final dream, and it is multiple Sentinels, including a
tri-headed Sentinel.
Tri-headed Sentinel, killing all the mutants.
Yeah, the final dream. To which then we have the reveal of his mother turns out to be a goddamn Prime Sentinel.
And she beats the shit out of him. But as that happens and we get the reveal of her being a Prime Sentinel, we cut back to Hank.
We come back to Hank, and we come back to his machine finally picking up all the Prime Sentinels, and you just see how many there are across the... And as it does, did you notice that all the ones it's picking up, they all start changing immediately?
Yeah, they've all been activated. These were not humans that have the Prime Sentinel ability in them. These were all activated Prime Sentinels that
Yeah.
were coming online that moment. It seems to be meeting the mother seems to have been some sort of key to unlocking everything.
Yeah.
Um,
And we were
and
the reveal of what is it? Bastion's turned his entire damn town into a bunch of Prime Sentinels.
yes, but then also when Hank is about to call for help,
Yep. Trish
um,
grabs his arm, and Trish is now a Prime Sentinel as well. It's like, oh shit!
and then we cut to Jubilee,
And the butler turning into one.
and the butler turning into one,
And
along with
yeah, everyone in
the
the town.
shop.
Yes, to your shop. And loads of people in the mall, just random people in the mall, just turning into these Prime Sentinels. All around them, it's just, oh god, they weren't kidding. Bastion's been doing this for years.
And there was a bit there where the parents, there's three children, and the parents, both the parents change while hugging the children, which I thought was quite freaky.
Yeah.
And if one of those was a mutant, they could have just thought of their own kid.
Yeah, that's just horrific. That's the scariest part about the Operation Zero Tolerance, though, is the Prime Sentinel bit was that if someone's kid was a mutant and they just suddenly turn, they'd murder their own child, not realizing what they'd just done.
Yeah. They've all been activated, and multiple fights now ensue.
Oh yeah, we get the Summers family basically fighting off an entire town of Prime Sentinels because everyone in Bastion's town has been converted into one. We get Hank blasted through the roof of the lab into the room with Wolverine and Morph. So and then Wolverine, gets blasted through the door out the building straight away, and as he does, we see the Friends of Humanity that have been sitting outside the mansion because of the reveal of Charles being alive and everything. We get the Friends of Humanity basically going. You see how many of them just start changing as well. It's like, oh shit. And you can see the difference between the ones that change and normal humans, because you notice the normal humans in that bit are scared seeing this.
Oh yeah, you would be. Yeah, you would be. Because you wouldn't be expecting the person next to you to start turning into an android. There's problems all over the shop. And what we have is a nice little reveal where, in that fight there where he gets thrown through the wall, Morph tries to get involved by becoming Juggernaut.
Yep, and because he doesn't have the bands of Sitarak and stuff, he just gets thrown about.
He's got this, at this point in time, he's got all the... Well, actually, this is an interesting one.
He doesn't have the strength of Juggernaut. He has most of his strength.
He would just have the proportionate strength of a person of that size.
Yeah, so he's quite strong, but he's not.
Yeah, because all of his power comes from the Mystic Bands. So yeah, that's an interesting, a weird choice to pick. Although technically, I don't know.
I think he panicked.
Yeah, so he panicked. But he gets thrown like a big rock into Nightcrawler, and he hits a book stand. They're both out there for the count for a bit.
Yep.
But we get a little reveal for something later. A set of swords drop on the floor.
Yes, and then we get cuts back to the Summers family of them trying to escape. In first, the Blackbird.
Yep.
To which Scott goes.
Last.
Yep, and with Gene even making the joke of, Hank's going to be so pissed off at you for this is the third Blackbird in just as many months. Just like, yep.
I like the first. Well, I like how the whole thing actually weirdly starts. It starts with her Gene telling the family off for not wearing seatbelts.
Oh yeah,
which in this situation would be terrible. And they go through all this stuff. But weirdly enough, I didn't. When Cyclops finally gives up the ghost on the aeroplane, and they go and they leave. When he says, "I'm not going through this again," I didn't actually go to the idea of they keep losing the Blackbirds. I went straight to the fact that this is exactly what happened to his parents and his kid, and him and his brothers, because they were on the aeroplane that gets taken down and they have to eject.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm doing it again. But yeah, it was that bit where he comes out though in the Porsche, and Cable's like, "You've got a Porsche."
Porsche. Someone's judging his father. You've got a Porsche? Yeah, I've got a Porsche.
Yeah, I got a Porsche.
I'm like, did you have a midlife crisis, Scott? Probably.
No, that was back then, and even now that was kind of cool. And I think that was being used as Cable was impressed by the Porsche.
But yeah, there's the scene of. After that, we have the. What is it? We have them like basically escaping in the car. Then we have the lovely scene where they start going through that tunnel, that cave.
Yep.
And then we get we get
great line.
Yeah. Let's show them why you don't mess with why you don't screw with the Summers family. Just yes.
I've got to say, yeah, I know that they were the Prime Sentinels were smashing up the inside of that tunnel as they're driving through. But once they got past that bit, why was he still shooting? Well, I know they had to shoot forward to get out of the thing in the end, but for a big chunk of that, where there was already a tunnel, he could have turned around and shot the other direction. Yet he decided to shoot more of the tunnel down.
It's Scott. I think at that point he was just trying to make sure that nothing blocked their path.
Yeah.
I think as well, he's using a force blast underground. He doesn't know if it's going to cave in front of him. If you think about it.
He's actually shooting in front of him.
So he's probably trying to make sure that the path in front of him just doesn't collapse in front of him.
Yeah.
That'd be why.
I suppose so. But I just thought it was very strange. He could have at least helped the sun out a little bit.
Oh no, but the fact that Cable and Scott are being badass, and then that scene when they get out of there and it's just Jean just floats them all to the ground.
Yeah.
And then they're surrounded.
All of that.
Then they're surrounded. Yeah. Then we have cuts back to Logan and Wolverine, and it with Logan just climbing the building, going, just pulling his claws out and charging at Trish, who immediately jumps at him, and we get the lovely bit of Wolverine finally getting to use his damn claws.
Oh yeah, I mean, at first I thought we were just going to see maybe a bit of a punch up, but then it cuts to him literally just slamming his claws into her back.
Yeah, and it just cuts to him just cutting people up, cutting these fucking Prime Sentinels like to pieces, left, right, and centre, fighting them. It's like yes.
The only thing to show that they're not human is the fact that their blood is purple, but they get torn to pieces.
Yeah. And keep reassembling themselves. Did you notice?
They did well. On the ones on the way down, I don't know how they could have reassembled themselves because they were being torn apart in the air and then dropped like 4 miles.
Oh no, that's what I mean. But notice those the ones in the room that he was in when he was fighting them. While they were him and well, he was fighting to protect Rogue, and then we get the lovely bit of him going. I've got when Trish just goes. Why'd you keep resisting? Why do you keep resisting when you have no reason to? And he just goes, I've got 6 reasons right here, bub. And then we have our lovely final reveal of Nightcrawler just teleporting in with...
You hear a bump, and then it's Nightcrawler, and he's holding a sword in each hand, on one of his tail is I count 9.
It's just, no, friend Logan, you have 9. Like, yep. We finally Nightcrawler finally gets to be the badass that he is.
And there were some great attacks there. Some really great things to point out there. Other than the just normal teleportation, moving to a different spot to attack someone.
Oh,
There's more than one occasion where he actually teleported him and
the bad guys.
Logan.
Oh yeah.
And then swapped them in and out. So Wolverine would be in a different position to do the next attack.
It was brilliant.
Very well.
I have noticed a lot in the series. They've done a lot of attacks from the X-Men like arcade games and stuff with the characters. They're just like, we're going to reference these arcade games because we know you love these shit growing up. But like, you have that whole scene of them two teleport, like fighting, and then you get we cut back to Jubilee and Sunspot, who are basically running from this entire like mall of just sentinels.
Yes.
To which we finally see Sunspot's full form. We get to finally see his full, DaCosta's full, like his, full mutant transformation, and I loved it. I love the way they revealed that finally, though. It's such a good scene.
I do, but what I loved the most was he gets taken out down to a lower level during the scuffle, and Jubilee is up at the higher level. She gets to the roof, and once she's got there, she's got nowhere else to go but over to another building. She's like, why am I still the only one that can't fly?
Oh, yeah.
But she does, of course, what you see everyone do with blaster powers at some point, that do it from the hands, is do the Iron Man, fly straight down on the ground and try and do an extra long leap or something. And she tries it, and yeah, she's got no power. She can't do that, and falls straight off the roof.
I know.
Then caught by Sunspot.
She's like, "What you do?"
Yeah, I've been playing with you. The things.
It was such a well done scene, though. It's like, she's basically like, "Fuck you."
But it leads into one of the darkest scenes in this show, and one we could have expected from the conversation we had with his mother before.
Yeah.
Because they get through the window, followed by 2 Prime Sentinels, and she's like, "They're trying to kill us," and the Prime Sentinel says, "No, we're trying to save them." And the mum's like, well, then you better go with them.
Yeah.
You don't want any problems.
Yeah, she just tells them to go with them, and she basically hands her son over to the fucking Sentinels. And I'm like, yeah, Mother of the Year, we're there. You just basically turned your son against you. That's basically what's happened at that point. Yes. It's that whole scene's point, I believe, is that it basically, yeah, he's just turned against his own family.
He's handed her son into the Gestapo, basically.
Yeah. I'd rather have a quiet life.
Yeah. Don't come after me.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100% that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we cut back to the house again.
Yeah, we come back.
The house is going down.
Yeah, we come back to the house again, and we get we have forgotten, and in all of these scuffles, we get Bastion, and we get the reveal of who was allied with Bastion this whole fucking time.
Oh, I thought we were going to do that big, but yes.
Yeah. We get Sinister, and then we get a nice little reveal of who's been allied with Bastion this whole fucking time, of Miss Valerie Cooper. Been allied with Bastion.
Oh! Is that the reveal you were talking about? I thought we were talking about the other reveal of villains.
Oh, no. We'll talk about those villains at the end when we get to the... Because I think the whole bit with the storyline with Bastion stuff, other than the reveal of Valerie Cooper, that bit is like... needs to be gone over with like separately after we've discussed all the Prime Sentinel stuff, because all the Prime Sentinel stuff is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we go back to the mansion of Logan, Morph, Nightcrawler, all just kicking, like fighting, and then you finally get to the point of where they're surrounded, and you're getting these scenes of all the X-Men are being surrounded, and like how are they going to get out of this scene? And then. So, to go back to the Bastion stuff that's been going on this entire episode. What was it? So, we've had... What have we had, Jax? We've had Sinister and Bastion having their chats about stuff, and Bastion going on about his life and bits of his plan. Then we've had the lovely moment where we got revealed that, Valerie's been working with him, and she's got there alive with a broken arm. And stuff.
Yep.
And then we get this lovely reveal of who's helping Bastion, of these other villains. I think I'm going to let you list off the villains that we see helping him, Jax, because I think one of them is just, I was like, you bastard.
So we've got Dr. Doom.
Does state
that
I'm just because I agree with just because I'm helping you with your plan doesn't mean it excuses your war crimes. Just
no, yeah, but yeah, which is weird because how many war crimes has Dr. Doom committed?
We don't talk about that. Hey, they're not a war crime if Doom commits it. Remember this. Remember, Reed Richards the villain, Doom's the hero.
Sort of, yeah.
Heroes like Doom cannot exist without villains like Reed Richards. I love Doom. Doom is is one of the best Marvel villains because he's just like, I am a hero. No, you are not the hero, Doom. You are not the hero. Stop it.
No, not today. Not today, Doom. You just killed 40 billion people. You're not the good guy. Yeah. So we've also got Baron Zemo.
Yeah, we get Zemo. I was surprised when we saw Zemo. I was like, oh, hello, Zemo.
It'll be interesting to see which Zemo. I don't know if we're going to find out which one it is, because I am going to make a weird assumption that it's not going to be the original one from the 40s. So it's going to be one of the.
It's probably the one that was in. It might be the one that was in. Because if we know that the Spider-Man animated series and this animated series are linked, and we got Zemo in that show, I feel like it's the Zemo from that show.
Very possible. Because
we've already seen Cap, who was in the Spider-Man animated series and the X-Men animated series. Yeah, we get and Valerie's trying to get Magneto's not spoken a word since since Bastion captured him. He's just and Valerie's trying to ask him what's and we get a scene that I think we both agree is very powerful.
Oh, yeah, the way that they lead into it. It starts everything because you've got Valerie walking in talking to Sinister, or she sees Sinister at work, and she's like, well, isn't that very Mengele of you? And he just sort of looks and was like,
I knew Mengele.
I knew Mengele. He was just a Nazi pup. And I was like, and then you sort of really, because you know what Sinister's like, you know what he does. It's like
his whole
you're still doing the same thing.
You're just doing it with mutants instead of humans. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. So
and then we get the Magneto, who's basically at this point he's wearing he's just got no shirt or nothing. And you see Valerie sees the tattoo on his arm. That is so well done. The way that it's like just. That tattoo, the prisoner number from him being in the internment camp.
Yeah.
Back in the.
And it is that moment you get the realization
she knows what side she's on.
You're in a circle of hate.
Yeah.
It's all just coming back again.
Yeah. To where, as after the scene, as we've had all the various fights going on, you get comes back to this where Bastion is, where we get. A scene where Bastion's like gloating a little bit, like he's come outside the mansion. He's about to start basically. The thing he's about to do is gloating, to the X-Men where I've won, basically.
Yeah. Where
everyone else hasn't. To which Sinister contacts him, going that fool Valerie's let Magnus out. It's like uh-oh.
And now, so this starts off. A few things for me. One is his response there is, well, it's too late now. It's not like that would. It's not like that would work anyway. This is why I'm thinking. Yes, she's let him out. Maybe he hasn't been fully brainwashed yet, but there's got to be a reason why he was there for so long. And not just killed.
It could also be the thing I'm thinking about. The reason why he's getting there is, remember in Magneto in the animated series, we kind of have to remember technically he can't die because you remember what he did in the animated series when Cortez basically sacked of all his powers and what Magneto did to return himself. As long as he's touching the Earth, he can't die. Remember. In the animated series, because he basically feeds off the electromagnetic field from the core, sustains.
Yeah, but that's only when his powers. Yeah, but that's only when his powers are active.
Yeah.
Remember, he's wearing the collar, so he has no powers. If he's got the collar on, they just shoot him in the head. It's like shooting a human in the head.
Oh yeah, but I have a feeling with Magneto the reason why I have a feeling that he was keeping Magneto around because he wanted him as a trophy. I have a feeling that Bastion,
That's
for all of his thing, I think the thing what happens in the episode basically hoists him by his own placard is hubris. He thinks he can win this. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. I've got Magneto. Charles is not coming back. I've got the most powerful mutant in the world, as far as he's concerned, under my control and all this. Oh, he's free. He's not going to be able to do anything to stop me. Because I think he's completely underestimated. Because remember, we've never seen Magneto do anything like he did in this scene. Before. He's never done anything that powerful in the animated series before. This is him basically no more.
Yeah, I mean we are.
But we get to the reveal of her basically of her speech to him. It's so good. You know what I'm on about by that, don't you?
I am. But here's the thing, because we did miss out a couple of people on that comm call, by the way.
Did we?
Because there is a woman speaking. She speaks directly to him, Bastion, and it is and so I'm one, and it's a Russian woman, but I still think it's Moira McTaggart. This is her run round of
what?
Wipe out as many as possible.
I don't think it's Moira. I think you're mixing too much of the modern comics over the older ones. You know what I mean?
She's going to be the Scottish scientist that helped make that gum.
But
maybe.
Oh yeah.
It's at around.
Yeah. We have also skipped over the other scene going on, Bastion. We get the reveal of how the Prime Sentinels are basically made. That he's basically been taking random people that he's got volunteering. You know what I mean?
Yes. And hey, some people are volunteering for the program as well because they're upset over the disparities in life. The example he uses is 10 people being fired from a construction site because one Superman can do 10 men's work. Doesn't quite match. It should be happening weirdly enough.
No.
But yeah, because you can still only move as fast as you can move.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we go on to that. Like I say, so he's gloating. Bastion's gloating, and he gets the phone call to say Magneto's out, and he doesn't really think much can be done.
No, he's completely thinking, because it feels to me, I think what it is I think that he at this point is just like in the comic that remember as we discussed last time when you were about the comics, where you thought it was a lot longer than it was because you were reading the bit that was focused on like a specific subset of characters. Where in the X-Men it was literally an issue and it was like 1 or 2 issues and done. It was go away.
Yeah, so I read it in the way that the version I had it edited it edited all the side stories as well into the actual Operation Zero Tolerance storyline. Because Operation Zero Tolerance is basically just like I was saying the other day after rereading it, it's just a Bobby Drake story. It's Bobby Drake, it's Mara, it's Sable. That is the main body of it, because the rest of it, the X-Men,
the only
stuck in a tunnel.
I think X-Men side of it, I think is literally Jubilee getting kidnapped. That's it.
Jubilee gets kidnapped. That is
Operation Zero Tolerance. Because I was reading that bit. It's her getting kidnapped and tortured by Bastion.
Because that comes back down to later on where he gets into the mansion. They're like, "How'd you get in?" It's like, "Well, kidnapped Jubilee ages ago." But yeah, no. The actual X-Men side of it is them going to a facility to try and find out what's going on, and they have to fight their way out of this massive tunnel. And then the rest of it is all Bobby Drake and Mara going after Bastion and trying to protect this nurse that's got a ability is to create a shield around herself. It's really weird. So I was interested to see how they did it on this. But yeah, Magneto loses his freaking mind and shuts the planet down.
Oh yeah, but I think the best part about Magneto's man is it's the way Val does it. It's what Val says to him when, as Bastion, sort of like basically ties her up,
Yeah.
where she just goes, "You know what I felt when I was at Genosha? Just what I felt when I was there. I just felt deja vu."
Mhm.
As Jax can see right now, or Jax can't. Can you see right now, Jax?
I can.
Yeah.
I can actually see what you're playing. You're only going to get done for copyright. It's great.
It's not on the screen. It's not on the
Okay.
stream. It's just literally on this. You know what the oddest thing was? Just no one seemed shocked or surprised because they knew it was coming. They basically, even Magneto knew that. Everyone knew that was about to happen. It was, yeah, we get a bit of happiness. It's gonna
And
Magneto's
going to be ripped away.
yeah, because
Um,
it's essentially the point that she's making is also that goes Xavier was basically a dreamer, and in the end I've come to realize that Magneto was right. To which we get the shot of it going to Magneto, landing in the Arctic, in the North Pole, I think it is.
Yep.
And to which you just hear all he says is never is it never again he says or something or no he just says enough, and we just
Enough.
have an absolutely massive electromagnetic pulse across the entire planet.
He wipes all electronics off the face of the Earth, which is going to be interesting for people with pacemakers.
Yeah,
Um,
but in that scene we get a bunch of lovely, nice little other cameos of other Marvel properties. We get a nice property of Silver Samurai.
Silver Samurai, see, it was a good little shock.
Yeah, we got a nice.
We find out what happened to Omega Red.
Yep,
and he's been in some sort of stasis prison.
Yep, which the power's just got out, and all you see is his hand sort of flicker, and it's like, uh-oh,
Yeah,
he's back. And then we get shot of the one.
what was it?
The one.
I can't remember the one in the onesie. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, that guy in the onesie. We get the only, the Spider-Man cameo. We got more than just a newspaper article this time. We got to see Spider-Man landing on a roof as the power goes out across New York. It's like, oh no. But
I mean, in many ways, this is showing that how this is actually affecting the whole Marvel universe. This Marvel universe.
Yeah, this whole Earth, and then we get the shots of the Prime Sentinels dropping from the sky as they all shut down. To which I actually, if you pay attention to Bastion's face expression at this point, Bastion actually looks a bit worried, because I think the point is it's the idea that he thinks he's won and he just accidentally underestimated something. And we get the line from Wolverine of Wolverine going, Magneto did it, and then Morph going, what, saved our asses? No, he declared war.
Yeah, declared war, and that's one of the things why I'm kind of on the fence whether or not this is all part of
Bastion's plan.
Scheme. Both leaders of the groups, either good and bad, now have been completely discredited in the eyes of the people, and one of them has completely decimated the Earth. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays.
Oh yeah. Be interesting. But it's also, we then get Wolverine doing a lovely, almost serendipitous speak. As he's speaking, where's the professor when you need? I wish Chuck was here. Where is he when you need him? As a Shi'ar ship crashes into the mansion, and we get the lovely final scene of the episode with Charles coming out of taking off his helmet from crashing the ship. And just going, and you just get the iconic line of him sending out a psychic signal to me, my X-Men. It's like, oh yes, it's time.
As each and every one of the X-Men get that call, their face comes up next to him. All his favourites, all the ones that are going to survive the series are there. There is Beast. There is Cyclops. There is, There is Storm. Does not give a fuck about Morph, Jubilee, Wolverine.
Well, he doesn't need to call Wolverine and Morph. He knows they're right next to him because he's just landed in front of them. He's calling. He's calling the ones that are distant that aren't there. Because where the hell is Hank at this point?
Upstairs, I would assume.
Well, what downstairs? Did you not look at the mansion that's been completely fucking destroyed, basically?
Yeah, but you remember that he fell. Their ship, I assume, fell down through a few floors.
Oh yeah. I know. It looks like he's crashed on. It just crashes straight on the top, whatever the top floor of the mansion is. I think the mansion's basically destroyed. I think it's another week. The mansion got destroyed.
I mean, they're gonna need a space.
They have probably a construction company on speed dial. Let's be honest here.
They've got. I assume they call up a couple of mutants that have got the abilities to do this and go fix it.
Well, to be fair, we saw him like in the original series. We saw a scene with Jean, fixing the mansion with telekinesis and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and there's been many things in the books, and I think in the comics where they've actually been working together to fix the mansion.
Yeah, they just
like
fix
Wolverine cutting up wood.
It's just funny. The mansion. It's the two constants of the X-Men. The mansion's going to get destroyed, or the Blackbird's going to explode. They're the constants of the show. Like.
They are.
No matter which era of X-Men you are a fan of, those are the constants of the X-Men franchise. The Blackbird's going to explode, or the mansion's going to explode. One or the other.
Well, I need to go for a pee.
But I think I will call it here today because we've gone on for about a good hour and a bit today.
We always do. We only mean to be an hour long, and we always overtake because we like to talk.
We do. We like to hear the sound of our voices. We're quite vain like that. We're not really. We are very vain, especially Jax. But with that, I'm going to say. With that, I'm going to say to everyone who's watching today. I bid you goodbye. Are you going to say goodbye?